no one has accomplished anything of significance all by themselves. Not a person. If they tell you they did, they're lying, because nobody does. Got my first public board when I was 42 or 43 years old. A company back then was called Arbitron. It was a $500 million company. I was the only Black person on the board. And after a few meetings, I ended up being the only female on the board. And I was younger than anyone by at least a decade. All right. So I was pretty intimidated. So I'm on this board and I'm preparing, I'm coming ready. I have questions, I have comments, but I don't feel that my voice is really being heard. Right. And a couple of meetings go by and I'm just not feeling like I'm really being heard. And so I said, you know what? I need help. So I reached out to one of the board members who I worked to build a relationship with. And I said, Luis, I have a favor to ask. I said, I don't know if you've noticed, but I don't feel like my ideas are actually being heard in the boardroom. I said, so my favor is if I say something in the meeting that you agree with, only if you agree, I would appreciate it if you would just echo, right, what I had to say. Just reinforce the point, just to make sure that when I say it gets heard. And so he said, sure, he'd be willing to do that. So next meeting, he does that, which is great, a couple times, which is lovely. I will tell you, after doing that just a few times, I was golden and my voice was heard. We were all part of what was going on. So when you say, how have I navigated? I navigate by asking for help. You know, what I tell people is, listen, no one has accomplished anything of significance all by themselves. Not a person. If they tell you they did, they're lying, because nobody does. So don't think you're going to be the first person, right? Take help. You know, give help too, but definitely take help as you work through some of the challenges that are out there.
You know, you talk about this sort of dives into, you've talked about the importance of mentorship. I've heard you talk about the importance of mentorship and the importance of a strong support system. Asking for help also leads to sponsorship, the difference between sponsorship and mentorship. You know, and I think you're giving advice just through that example, that oftentimes an informal mentorship that can form through asking for help, or a formal one. Am I right? Is that?
Absolutely right. Listen, I mean, Lisa, I've had so many mentors over my career because, and you know, to me, a mentor is anyone I can learn from. And it's not a mentor that I have forever, right? It's mentors I might have episodically, or I might have in certain roles or for certain periods of time. Yeah. Exactly. So yes, that's the whole point, right? We all need help because by definition, we are learning. We get a new job, by definition, we don't know what we're doing, right? I mean, so don't act like you do. Nobody expects that you are an expert in the job, but for all the help you need. But yes, that's the biggest thing you can do to help yourself, is literally to ask for help along the way, and then be gracious in offering it.
You know what? And yes, make sure that you turn the tables and you become that sponsorship, you become that mentor. And that is, you know, I think about, the reason I mention people in my podcast, those names that I've mentioned to you, because they've been very special to me, or they've been very special to my husband. And they have been that for us. And also we've walked into rooms where we hopefully been that for them as well, right? And helped to open those doors and been used in that capacity. But I'll never forget you said that's just part of the job of leadership, which I love the fact that you said it that way. Because I think it's part of the job of leadership when you are leading as from a mentor role or a sponsorship role as well. I mean, it's just part of what you are supposed to do. And I really like that. So what leaders have inspired you? That's actually going to be my last question, Shelley. What leaders have inspired you and why?
I'm going to go way back. One of the leaders that I always think about when I'm going through something challenging is Harriet Tubman. Ooh. And I know that's not an example probably that you were thinking of, because people think current business leaders. But I think of Harriet Tubman because what I admire the most in a leader is courage. It's courage. It is easy to do what people expect. It's easy to do what people want. It's easy to take the safe route.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that's the right thing to do. And so whenever I face, the challenge, or I'm like, oh my goodness, right? Can I do this? Or I'm going, I just think back on Harriet Tubman. If she could get up every day, right? And focus on how to save other people's lives, right? And bring them forward through all kinds of challenge over and over again. Who am I to complain about X, right? My challenge is nowhere near her challenge. So when it comes to who do I think of? I think of Harriet Tubman when I am trying to get myself together.
I couldn't think of a more perfect example of risk, courage, oh my goodness, transformation, leadership, all of it. She was all of it. She could have written the book, right?
Yes,
a great
indeed.
example.
Indeed.
Innovation, creativity.
Building trust. Yeah, people talk about being scared, right?
Yes.
Followership, right? All just everything. So
yes, all of
yeah,
it.
she's my person.